And to discuss the news from Haiti in the wake of the magnicide of President Jovenel Moise, we now welcome David Denny, Union Leader and General Secretary of the Movement for Caribbean Peace and Integration. David, thank you so much for joining us today. David, can you hear me? It appears that we do not have communication with David. I'm unable to hear him. We'll continue with other news.
I'm happy.
Oh, we do have communication. David, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm happy to be here with you today.
Thank you so much for joining us. David, the Caribbean is watching the events in Haiti. What are the likely repercussions of this assassination in the regional context?
First, as the General Secretary for the Caribbean Movement for Peace and Integration, I would like to say to teleSUR that the governments of the United States of America, Canada, Britain, and France, they all have created these conditions. And because of these conditions, we have the conflict that is taking place right now in Haiti. This conflict was designed specifically to create the conditions for these same four countries to be able to send some form of military intervention into Haiti so as to continue to control the resources of the Haitian people. And our movement is very, 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 very hurt by the level of killing that is taking place in Haiti, because Haiti is part of our region. It's a member of CARICOM. We also are, somewhat taken back because we felt CARICOM should have been leading the process for demanding free and fair elections within Haiti, because we have some kind of confidence in CARICOM to help us to create dialogue in Haiti and help us to create the conditions for the way forward for the Haitian people out of this crisis situation. Our movement do not have any confidence in the four mentioned governments, neither do we have any confidence in the OAS as it relates to dealing with this crisis situation in Haiti.
David, there's already been calls from the Colombian president for the OAS to send an urgent mission. So do you believe we can expect that there will be foreign intervention in this situation?
I think that that's what's going to happen, because the conditions were created by the four countries that I mentioned earlier. They have personnel in Haiti who are part of this process and who were working towards backing up the present government of Haiti. The Haitian people came out on the streets and demanded an electoral process that will give them the right to vote for a government of their choice. Then, earlier, during the month of June, we saw criminals who were supported by the government killing leading journalists and progressive forces in Haiti. So all of these things would have created a conflict, and the conflict now will create the conditions for an intervention in Haiti. And they're not going to be an intervention based on bringing about dialogue and peace. It's going to be an intervention based on being able to control the resources of Haiti and to deny the Haitian people the rights to a free and fair election.
David, as you say, the Haitian people have been suffering a crisis for a long time. We're talking about one of the poorest nations in the Americas, repeatedly subject to foreign intervention, with a state that's failed to address the population's needs. In this context, how can progressive movements mobilise to attempt to ensure that there is some sort of real change for Haitians and it's not snatched away again?
Well, during this weekend that just passed, we were in contact with our Haitian progressive forces, and we in the Caribbean region, we drafted a protest resolution so as to demonstrate that the progressive forces in the Caribbean stands in solidarity with the progressive forces in Haiti. We also participated in discussions when we were in Venezuela for the bicentennial conference. We had full discussions with the Haitian delegation. A resolution was also passed at the Congress for us from all over the world to demonstrate our solidarity and to give our support to the progressive forces in Haiti, and also to demand the call for peace and for the right for the Haitian people to be able to elect a government of their choice.
David Denny, General Secretary of the Movement for Caribbean Peace and Integration, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today and for offering your valuable insight into the events in Haiti. Thank you.
Thank you too, my sister.
And we'll